I'm Kelly Lewis.
And I'm Tiffany Jones, and we're your Revenue Insiders.
If you're enjoying the Revenue Insiders, we'd love your support. Follow us, rate, and leave a review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or YouTube. Your feedback helps us grow and reach more listeners like you. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whenever you are joining us today. Today is a fun one. We have a guest that I met over 20 years ago. I will not give you the exact date, but met in college at the University of Colorado. We were sorority sisters. This is a surreal moment because I think if you knew either of us in college, and if you did, keep those stories to yourself.
Presidents.
Yeah. No, we Natalie and I talked. We're not allowed to be president ever. So we have Natalie Wolf here today. I knew her as Natalie Poole. She is vice president of customer success at People.ai. She is a major badass when it comes to go-to-market and customer success. So I'm thrilled to have her here today.
Thanks, Kelly and Tiffany. Thanks for having me. It's great to be with you. And to your point, full circle. We're working hard in college, but also doing some fun, weird stuff in the mix. And I think it lends well to the world of customer success anyways.
I love that. Well, and Natalie and Tiffany got a chance to meet. We were at a conference, Blaze, a couple weeks ago. So they got a chance to meet in person, actually.
How rare is that, meeting people in person these days?
Almost every episode, whoever the guest is, one of us knows them well and the other one doesn't at all. So it's like a rare and like special treat that we at least got to like meet and chat before we start filming this.
I love it. It's great. Yeah, keeping it in the community. Love it.
Okay, Natalie, you have such an interesting career journey. I followed it remotely through LinkedIn, but I think there's a lot our listeners can learn about your career journey and how you got to where you are today. So can you tell us about that?
Yeah, sure. I'll introduce myself and then maybe tell about my path to leadership. We can break it up if you want, but
yeah, whatever works.
Yeah, well, I run all things customer at People.ai, so success, services, and support. And for those of you who don't know what People.ai does, we're really here to help revenue teams automate insights and unlock data really around the full customer journey. So like think about activity data from pipeline to forecast coverage to growth planning. It's all fueled by AI and I'm really excited about it. But before my CS journey, I like pain. I love punishment, which is why you sign up for customer success, right? I was a consultant for a decade, specializing in finance transformation. Another place to find lots of pain is in the finance, but I loved it. But that background kind of shaped my obsession with fixing pain in every go-to-market leader's day, with really driving predictable operationalized outcomes. And I specialize in more of the renewals and revenue growth side. So that's what I'm excited about. And that's kind of where I'm at right now.
Amazing. Okay. So how did you did spend some time in consulting. How did you get from consulting to customer success? Because you have an interesting journey there too.
Yeah. When we were going to college or, I don't have this, I look at some of the students that we're helping or advising for that, Stanford has amazing programs around customer success. When we were going to school, back to CU, there was no program for customer success. This wasn't a thing. I just knew that I liked numbers, I liked finance. And so I went into, consulting and that made sense to me, but my customer success wasn't a straight line for me. In fact, when I started, I didn't even know CS existed. Did know though that I loved working with customers, which is what I loved in consulting. And after years doing that in consulting, going wide and across industries, I really wanted to go deeper. In consulting, you really become a master of none. It's not a bad thing, but if you really want to build real expertise in one thing, you can't do that as specifically as you can in, say, tech or SaaS. So I went to go build real expertise in customer success. I kind of took my operational chops and customer obsession and kind of just kept deploying it for good. And it kind of just worked out. CS ended up as the right fit. Really fun fact, not a lot of people know this, but I didn't start my journey in tech in customer success. I started in pre-sales. I wanted to own a bag, know what it was like to be in sales. And at the time when I was at Anaplan, we were immediately growing so fast and we needed to build a customer success organization from scratch. So I supported that effort. But I think I was just kind of there at the right place, right time, and took those chops on customers and operations and deploy that for good. But, I think I realized early in CS and even in pre-sales that real growth isn't just about selling. It's about outcomes, and it's easy to talk about. but that's kind of where customer success meets the future of go-to-market. And I think it's at the end of the day, I know everyone is obsessed about talking about value and outcomes, but it's kind of how you operationalize teams to consistently deliver that. And I like to compare it to Disney World. A lot of people who know me know I'm obsessed with Disney. I'm like that Disney adult who had a kid to be able to be a Disney adult.
Will you take my daughters to Disney? Because I don't want to go.
I will totally go.
Your
I have
husband
a
invited me, Kelly. I think we're going.
No, because he doesn't want to go. We're all just we're
He's
shopping around.
he's
Like
planning
whoever will
planning
take our
that.
children to
Yeah,
Disneyland or
that makes
Disney
sense.
World, so we don't have to.
Well,
We
I will
will
tell
pay.
you, whether I go or not, I have a day by day, hour by hour list of the activities you will do and where you will
You
go.
two could bond over this. Tiffany
Yeah.
is the same way.
Yeah, it's a disease. Being a Disney adult, it's a deep disease that I hope no one has. But I will say I'm your go-to person. But why I like to compare it to Disney World is like every employee has the power at Disney to create magical moments. So, whether it's, I don't know, replacing a dropped ice cream or giving a fast pass to a missed ride or helping you find your lost car. But people think, oh, that's just a random act of awesome CX. It's actually not. It's operationalized. They've engineered peak moments into the customer experience. And that's why people come back and spend. Like they have, for example, a threshold of a dollar amount they give to every employee to make a great customer experience. And I really do believe you can do that for SaaS. You just have to think about it differently. So that's kind of what I've been excited about in my leadership, in my role, and what gets me fired up about customer experience, customer success is that we have the capability and we have the processes and AI to really operationalize peak moments for customers, not just hope for them if we want to drive loyalty and growth. So that's what I get excited about.
I want to rewind you back for a second. We were talking about this a little bit as we were jumping onto the call, but you said when you were at Anaplan, right, you had this opportunity, right place, right time to jump into the CS space because they needed to build it out. But there certainly is an element of right place, right time at the company you're at or the way the economy is functioning. But you also had there was something else there driving you to take that. Can you talk a little bit more about where you were at from a mentality standpoint and what drove you to take that maybe more uncertain step into an unknown, entire organization that need to be built? Because that's scary for a lot of people.
Yeah, it's a good question because I think a lot of times people don't step into their power. Like there was a moment at Anaplan where we had a services organization that was started to be well built out and a great pre-sales organization. And we didn't have CS at all. And all we had to do was kind of, step into our power and pilot this out with customers and see what happens. And I think not a lot of people are willing to do that hard work to figure out, well, wow, what should we do with these 30 customers who really need to grow and adopt? And what would that look like? How would we do that for our business? And I kind of just jumped in, segmented our accounts, tested it out, and then built out a model that I thought would work well for us. And I kind of just, back to my point, I stepped into that power. No one said, hey, you're going to run customer success from scratch. Hey, here are the 5 activities you're going to go do. I literally made it up as I went. And at the time, we didn't have playbooks. We didn't have customer success operationalized or a playbook to follow like we do today. And I think that was actually the magic of what made me so successful is I really had to learn all of the deep details. So even to this day, when I look at CS leaders that are struggling, it's because they really don't understand renewal framework. They don't know how to operationalize a good value review. You have to be able to get your hands dirty and do it and figure out listening to customers, what's really going to move the needle. And for me, I was just sorting that out, going through the list of this is not working, pivot, this is working, and putting in that hard work to kind of step in. And I wasn't thinking, oh, I want to go and lead and I have to be a leader and I have to do customer success. I thought none of those things at the time. I just thought, wow, here's a really interesting problem to solve. We have to solve this for our customers.
Yeah. And I think, when we all let imposter syndrome get in the way, it's something like maybe you've never done before or is hard to fathom being successful at, or you imagine all of the pitfalls that you have in front of you. But I think especially when you're leaning in to help your customers, and you have that as the core of your intent, they're going to feel that too. And so you have a safety net underneath you. You're not going to, if you have nothing else existing there, you're not going to drive the entire car off the cliff.
Totally.
Yeah.
Well, and I also want to credit, I had great executive team members, really, really mentoring me and really just letting me step into my own power and empowering me. hey, you have full reign to go get that done. And you tell me what you need to make that happen. And man, what a difference when someone is empowering you and just giving you free white space. I think I'm a creative at heart. I don't really work well like in a box. And so I think that's why I've gravitated more to, smaller or staged companies, because you get to be innovative, you get to be creative, you get to be experiential. And I think that's really where I thrive, and having great leaders around you saying, hey, try that out. If it doesn't work, let's fail fast. And that was super fun and exciting to me.
I love this story, particularly because I talk to so many individuals that I'm mentoring, and they're waiting for someone to tap them on the shoulder and say, we've got a job for you.
Mm-hmm.
And your story is exactly my experience. Was you see a problem, you say, can I go solve this? And you just go solve it and you figure it
Yes.
out. And yes, you have to have the right executive team to support you in those things. But I do think you can't wait for someone to tap you on the shoulder and tell you they have a great opportunity for you. You have to uncover that yourself.
Totally. Yeah, and I love that you're saying that, because I talk to my team and other people I'm mentoring as well a lot about this. They're waiting for like this magical CS leader opening that's going to show up. And in this macro environment, just to be frank, it's few and far between right now. So if you're an IC looking to be a leader, I keep saying, step into your power. You actually have the power to lead right now. You're a lead CSM for a reason, or you're a principal CSM for a reason.
Right.
Find an interesting problem, solve that. You will gain the really important skills you need to be a good leader, and other things that you need to also help foster and grow, an early stage company and help it grow. So I think these are all things that are like a combination. And I think that people are seeing that there's less leadership opportunities, quote unquote, out there, but there is a lot of opportunities for growth, innovation, and change. And I really want people to just step into that interesting place that we're at right now, especially in the evolution of technology and AI. There's so much to be experimented with.
Yeah. And it reminds me, Kelly, of the conversation we had on one of our prior episodes that, like, don't just step into your power, like, declare that you're stepping into it. Like, I see this problem. Here's how I'm going to go solve it. Then do the work, because otherwise you're not setting yourself up to say, like, I'm taking
Yes.
on all of this and being really visible. That's such an important step when you take that
Yeah.
leap as well.
Well, Tiffany, you're bringing up such a good point that I forget that I even did, but I remember pitching to our board. Customer success is a program. And I remember that I really wanted our executive team to really listen to me, not interrupt me, not like really get focused on what I was saying and what I needed. And so I put a dollar jar on the board table, and I said, if anyone talks while I'm pitching, you will owe $1. And I pitched my whole presentation, what customer success was, why it matters, what investments we need to be successful, and then I'm going to go step into this role with this criteria and this expectation. Are we ready? And everyone was like, yeah. At the end of that fun story of the dollar jar, everyone remembers that fondly. There was only $1 put in that jar. So everyone respected the cause. And it was a fun and engaging way to get people to say, hey, I'm invested, I'm listening, and here's what you need. Great, let's go.
Oh, I love that. Okay, so we're now in 2025. We're in a crazy time. Everyone
Yeah.
I talk to, CEOs, CFOs, chief product officers, are like, what is going on? I'm confused. I can't keep up. What are the go-to-market leaders that win? What is going to separate them?
Yeah. I think I've been kind of saying this since I was at Anaplan and at Salonis and now here at People.ai. I think what I've been seeing over the last 10 years is we've been building out our separate functions, and our system and tech have kind of forced us to be disconnected. By the way, like, fun fact, because I work in go-to-market now, and I'm sure you all are seeing this too, like the median of how many tools a go-to-market team has is around 9. Some of my customers have 20 plus tools.
I was going to say, that seems so
That
low to
seems
me.
so low.
Like
I think
20
Kelly and
plus
I have
tools.
9 tools
Yeah,
just to run
like,
the revenue insiders.
can you think about how overwhelming that must be for our go-to-market CS,
Yeah.
pre-sales, and sales like practitioners? So I say that because I think connected data drives connected teams. And more importantly, if you really want to drive outcomes, how can you reduce the tech stack and simplify what your team is doing? And this goes back to my hot take. I don't think it's really that hot. I think it's more that people say they're doing it and they're not doing it, which is I believe revenue protection and revenue growth is a team sport, and success is really operationalized across CS, sales, and support. And the best go-to-market leaders are driving cross-functional alignment on shared outcomes, not just pipeline. I think like leaders that share their cheese, meaning they drive like real shared success and rituals. I call rituals or use cases across CS, sales, and ops. Those are the ones that are going to be winning. I was just having coffee with a customer last week. One of our biggest customers using account planning with us and activity tracking, etc. And they have an initiative called One Team Selling. It's easy to say, harder to do, but they're winning as a result of that because they're delivering on this promise of having joint account planning and success planning. And they're doing it together so they can talk about engagement by persona, it's joint and shared responsibilities. In so many companies, I'm feeling like CS is just like an outsider looking in at the potential of how they could help. And that is just setting yourself up for failure. So I really won't come into a company if I don't feel like the sales leaders are going to be aligned with me, because it's just going to be, a lost effort, really.
Yeah. I think when you talk about that connected experience, I'm totally bought in. I think, like many companies, as you said, that's a big initiative for us
Yeah.
as part of what we've been working on, both the system side as well as like
Yeah.
the actual behavior side. But one of the things that I think is we're going to see happen is people will take, I don't want to call it the lazy way out because that doesn't have the right connotation, but they'll use AI to cover the mistakes of them actually not functioning beneath them. So, and I don't know if you see that uniquely within people at all, or just your broader AI experience, but the emergence of agents, for example, like porting data or answering questions between two teams or aligning the data, in my opinion, I don't think it's going to solve that underlying problem of actually selling as a single team. It just like shifts things around a little easier. I'm curious, like if you've had any exposure, any thoughts around how AI is going to play a role in that?
Yeah. No, it's such a good point, because I think what's happening in the AI landscape is that AI only works when it's embedded in real rituals that matter, not just new tech hype. For example, at People.ai, we automated our health scoring, our EBR, business value review tracking, renewal playbooks, but we tied the AI directly to outcomes, renewal risk, adoption, ROI measurement. But it's not a one-off activity. It's not a hidden thing that is shifting work from one place to other. It has to be embedded in a use case that's really mattering. So I think my call to action for go-to-market practitioners are you're not just buying AI tools or having an agent, really solve for the jobs to be done inside leadership priorities. Like, where is the pain? What is the use case associated with that pain? Otherwise, what I'm seeing in our customer base is that AI is just becoming shelfware. It's like a really interesting, shiny new thing to try to use, but it's not really embedded in anything powerful, helpful. Like, it's not in your forecast rhythm. So why are you going to go back to it? It's just kind of hiding other things. Or for us, using agents and support, we're doing that. It has to be embedded to meet customers where they are, or else we're just kind of leaving them to a really bad experience. And so I think it's going to take us time to evolve that. No doubt we don't have it perfect, but I think focusing on the jobs to be done, focusing on where the pain is to be solved, can really help you operationalize AI and make it count.
I think that's a great way to think about it. I think it's so easy, like you said, Tiffany, to just gloss over the problems and try to solve it with AI and not think about what the people aspects actually look like. I want to go back a little bit, Natalie, because one thing I think that's so interesting about your career journey is you have a ton of experience. You clearly have made very thoughtful moves throughout your career. You recently joined People.ai. And I'm sure you had offers at other organizations as well. Why did you join People.ai as a CS leader? What are things that are important to you to look at when you take that new opportunity? If we've got someone out there that's, looking for new opportunities and looking for their next role, what should they be looking for?
It's funny because when I found People.ai, I wasn't really looking, right? I was like actually really happy with my job. I think that things were going well for me, but I really on the work side of things, like I saw this really awesome opportunity to work in a space that is directly surrounded by the things I am obsessed about, like talking about customer success and then being part of a go-to-market tool that sells that. I was just really excited by that. So I think one dimension has to be like it's a product you're really interested in, right? Like it moves you. I've been at other companies where I haven't stayed so long because really the product wasn't compelling enough for me. Now, I'm a consultant at heart, so don't worry, I have like very specific criteria for every job I've taken. It's actually a
That's why I
disease.
asked you this question.
I will share it with you after, and you'll be like, oh no, I've like sent it to my friends. Like, this is how I evaluate companies. I haven't gotten it completely right. I'm adding to it every time, but I think product market fit and making sure like when I go sell this tech, can I pitch it? Does it make sense? Would I be able to see somebody getting value from it? And do I think the TAM is big enough for that to be, real? And I could see myself doing that. The other thing for me, it's a really big deal, is culture and the value system. Like being an authentic, inclusive culture is really hard to find. And I have just gotten, I guess, as you get older, you kind of you're not going to settle. Like I will not.
As much. It's
No.
interesting.
Yeah, no, you
If
don't.
people are going to be shitty,
Yeah.
I'm not interested. I've had great job offers where, sorry, but the value system is not aligned. And so I just will not take that. So I think that was another thing for me, is like culture, values, also looking at, funding, looking at the investor board and making sure that we would be aligned, making sure that I would see eye to eye with those aspects are really important to me. And then also thinking about growth and retention. Do I see myself being able to help this customer get to value? Those are things I think about in addition to like the culture and the value side of it.
So interesting. We may share like the Disney planning down to the hour gene, but like I do not have that robust of a table for like comparing companies. And I haven't moved a lot in my career in the last decade plus.
Yeah.
But it's such an interesting concept of something to grow at that like meticulous of a level to evaluate what you're doing from a next step.
I mean, I will do all the weird things too, like read all the reviews, do all the other things just to see like, what's the perception in the market? I will read. This is the obsessive part of me. I will read before I got to People.ai, I read every G2K review just to see what customers were saying. So I knew, obviously, I think it was very transparent going in what I was getting into, which I really do honor and love. But I read every customer thing because I wanted to know, like, what is this going to be like for our customers? So that was my other dimension that people may not think about. And then the last thing I didn't say was also timing and, stage appropriateness.
Yeah.
Where they are as a company. I joined Anaplan really early. When I joined Anaplan, we were less than 20 million and under 200 employees. And then when I stepped back and turned around, we had over 2,000 employees and over 200 million in revenue. So the growth story was awesome there, but I probably would never join another $20 million company again, just because I love to spend more time in the Series C, D, but that's just me, right? So you have to figure out, what's the stage that is going to be the most appropriate for my skills? And like, I talk to a lot of consultants who want to move into CS, and I say, hey, it's very unstructured. Are you sure that you're going to be able to flex and be okay with the every week is different? It's a totally different ballgame. And so just being flexible. Are you flexible enough? Or are you rigid and set in process only? Like, you have to really like kind of flex on that side.
It's interesting. Kelly and I were having this conversation like last week or the week before, where I've always framed it just as you have, that like I do really well in like Series D plus companies. Like that's where my sweet spot is, I think, to the point that you were making. But as money has become harder to gain from companies, I don't know that the series is the marker anymore. It feels more like their actual annual revenue is the better marker of their success. And I think that may change again as the economy continues to evolve. But like right now, it feels like a slippery slope, like a Series A. I think this is the conversation we were having, Kel. Like sometimes a Series A almost feels like a Series B or C because they've been Series A for so long and have been developing under that cash model for so long.
Totally. I think you have to get deeper and be like, okay, when I say Series C and D, I mean 200 plus customers, over 50 million in revenue, and the executive team looks like this, and the CS team looks like this. Like,
exactly.
Just being more specific about what you want. And a lot of people come to me with like, I'm looking for a customer success role. And I'm like, well, what are you looking for? And I ask these type of questions, and people don't have those answers. So I think, Kelly, back to your point, is really diving in and thinking about where would I thrive? Where would I give my best problem solving? Where would I do my best? and really thinking about the things that you did at certain stages of company growth or where you did really well, and kind of reflecting back on that and then putting that into a framework that will help you say, this is what I'm looking for. So you can really get specific about what you want.
Love that. So you shared a lot about your career. What is one lesson that you wish you knew earlier?
A couple things. I wish I knew a lot earlier. I think like as you're younger, you think you know everything. I mean, but like as
Yes.
you get older, you just realize how much you don't know. So I think that's an age thing. Like as you grow in your career, you're like,
Everyone has to go through that and
yeah,
experience it themselves.
totally. I think you have to go through that journey. People say leadership isn't about being the smartest person in the room, and that's true. But to me, it's about unlocking everyone else's superpowers. I think great leadership makes people smarter, but I would also add like braver and more successful because you're there. Like early in my career, I didn't lean into that. I thought being the voice, the evangelist, the flashlight was a weakness, and my boldness was the thing killing my career. And sometimes, to be honest, it did. I was maybe too vocal, or I kind of flexed my superpowers too much. And to be honest, it didn't help me that much when I was a consultant. But over time, I found my sweet spot. And I realized when you channel that superpower for good and you help others step up and help them step into their own power, that's where the real magic happens. And that's, I think, what a lesson I learned, I wish I learned earlier, is kind of knowing what your superpower is and then trying to channel that for good. And then as a leader, how do I not try to get everyone else to be the same and have the same skills as you, but let their superpowers shine and know that they're different. And I think consulting kind of creates a cookie cutter. Everyone is great at like these 10 things. And so I didn't grow up thinking this way. I had to learn, oh, actually, it's okay that, I have one person with this superpower and one person with this. You're really made to be the jack of all trades of everything in consulting. So I think moving to tech, I had to learn that. But now I try to foster it in my teams. Like all of my leadership teams, I try to find different people in terms of their authenticity and their values are aligned, and they're inclusive, and all that stuff is important. And I want to find people who have different skill sets so we can kind of like lift everyone up.
Yeah. I think it's so important. Like you need to fill the gaps of what you aren't. You can't be good at everything. Like the master of none comment, right? So you need to build people and leadership underneath you that fills those gaps that you, as an organization, can fully represent what you need to go do. So it's a really critical part of leadership. You've given us so many gems so far today on things to think about or career advice. What is your one piece of biggest advice you could give a future go-to-market leader, someone who's looking to really knock on the door of leadership in the next few months or years?
Yeah, that's a good question. Gosh, so many different things, because I have so many things I've learned by doing it the wrong way.
Maybe that's do it the wrong way. You have to just do it the wrong way sometimes.
I would say two things. One, be maniacally focused on 3 things or less. I think a lot of times, specifically in customer success, there's like 80 things to solve. It's very overwhelming, especially at this stage of growth. There's so many things you have to do for adoption and value, and just getting really focused will ultimately make you successful. Because of doing that at Anaplan, I was laser focused on doing a few things right with our customers, and it worked exponentially. And so I would say that is making sure you know your top 3 every time you come into work every week. And then also, again, my operational chops and rigor behind me, falling in love with outcomes, not activities. You got to build these shared goals and embed the rituals that matter, and then relentlessly simplify those outcomes, and not focus on all the stuff you did, but what are the things that are moving the needle that is driving actual value. And it kind of goes back to those top 3, because once you kind of get focused on the top 3, then you can really drive the outcomes you need. And then you don't get so caught up on all the activities, the stuff.
Yeah, I love that.
Okay. So we talked a lot about your career, your growth. What inspires you outside of work?
Well, Kelly, you might know this. Some people may not know this, but I teach fitness on the side of this gig. I've been teaching aerobics ever since step aerobics was a thing. I mean, I used to teach at the CU Rec Center.
I do remember this. I don't know that I ever went to one of your classes. I wish I had been motivated enough, but I was not that human. in
Yeah.
college?
I mean, I used to teach at the sorority some abs classes, you
Yeah,
do
I
some
remember this.
quick
Yeah.
and dirty workouts, but I love teaching. I love teaching fitness on the side of this gig. Hard to keep up, but I've been an aerobics instructor for like 20 years. And I think teaching fitness has taught me more about leadership, connection, community, grit, more than any conference room could ever. And I think it gives you like more confidence just to, I don't know, be out there. You kind of have to do a lot of weird things in fitness classes and constantly embarrassed by yourself. I remember one person wrote a review about me on like their website about like my purple one piece spandex thing. And I was like really hurt by it. But I also was like, yeah, if someone can write about me, about my cool one piece purple leopard outfit, I could really get through anything,
That a purple leopard one piece, that tracks for
Yeah.
what I know about you.
I mean, but
And I
it's just
love
like,
it.
but it's just like, you can
Be
just,
authentic.
yeah, it's just totally authentic. No fear, no shame.
Yeah.
But it kind of goes back to like my superpower being a little bold and being a little risky. And I think that's, made me successful in my career too.
I love it. I think it's great. It's so cool to have like such a long lasting like motivation outside of work. I feel like a lot of us go through like ebbs and flows with hobbies, and sometimes it's like a hard question to answer. So like 20 years going strong is a great one.
It's crazy. Yeah. And like to keep my fitness certs up to date, I'm like, sometimes I go to
Oh.
these like fitness conferences and I'm like, I should not be here right now. I am not skilled enough for this, but again, that's an art, that's a skill. But it's also super fun. I have yet to wear my one piece purple leopard aerobics outfit to a work thing, but there's always an opportunity. There's
You
a
never
chance
know.
sometime.
Yeah.
Well, maybe you'll inspire me to find a hobby besides reading and puzzling, which make me an 80-year-old woman.
I love
I don't
that.
have a lot of
You're playing like Sudoku and like all the different other games with some other ladies.
We puzzle
No,
with
I'm
a
not doing that
martini.
yet. That's
We
probably
puzzle
coming.
with a martini though. Like there's
Yeah,
normally like
a margarita typically,
Yeah.
but I
Yeah.
do I like a good puzzle in the winter. Maybe it's Seattle.
I feel like you should do like a game night. Like maybe you could like take that to the streets.
Street like puzzle
Street
racing or
puzzling.
something.
I don't know. I just made that up, but like, you're like have now a whole community of puzzlers.
Oh, gosh, that would be
Don't
great.
invite my daughter. I bought her like 5 different puzzles and she is disinterested in all of them. So I'm done with the puzzles.
Okay.
Yeah, kids either love them or hate them. I've learned that. Okay, we are at the point in our episode where we ask you to give the listener a question that they should go think about. So this is a point of view question. Anything that they can, within the next 24 hours, think about to help them create their own point of view about go-to-market. What question should they ask themselves?
Yeah, I think this goes back to everything we talked about customer first, building customer experiences that matter. So I would ask them, what's the one shared customer outcome you could align your entire go-to-market team around today? And how would it change your revenue path if you did that? So I would encourage listeners to think about solving that one customer outcome that would totally change the way you talked to customers, the way they adopted, the way they got value.
So great.
So great. We continue to hear this in all of our episodes. Simplicity matters.
Yeah.
It's clear. The fact that almost all of our guests bring up something around simplicity makes me think it's something none of us are doing well. It's really fascinating.
It's hard. I mean, it's actually hard to do these things because every day is caught up by like, especially in the customer side, like escalations and issues and so many interesting, innovative things we could do. So getting us, and I just had this reset with my team this week. I'm like, all right, we've kind of got a little off track this quarter. We need to like reset on our priorities. They're all aligned to the 3 specific things on delivering a value system, creating culture, and creating good customer health for our customers. If it's not in these 3 buckets, we don't want it. Right. And so it's really hard to do. You have to create a rhythm every week where you're obsessed about it. So you got to put it into a rhythm or else it's just talk.
Yeah. I love it. Well, thank you so much, Natalie, for joining us today. This has been a great conversation. I feel like we'd have kept going forever.
I know. We're at our stopping point, but Natalie, thank you again. Full circle moment. This is fun. Hopefully we'll have you back on the pod at some point in the future, but thank you for being here.
Yeah, thank you. And go Buffs, right?
Yeah, go Buffs. love your support. Follow us, rate, and leave a review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or YouTube. Your feedback helps us grow and reach more listeners like you.